Mysterious and eerie, insane and utterly eccentric. These are the words that describe Lovecraft's world, a place where ordinary people are surrounded by a myriad of extraordinary things. Yet it's precisely this eccentricity that has inspired countless films to create timeless masterpieces. Among them is Rick and Morty, with a scene that has undoubtedly etched itself into the minds of longtime fans. Across all 8 seasons, including the newest one, the ancient god Cthulhu makes an appearance in the intro. But contrary to expectations, this storyline has been left hanging and almost entirely absent from the show itself. If you only watch the animated series, you'll never know why the trio, Rick, Morty, and Summer, are trying to steal a baby Cthulhu while the ancient god is hot on their heels. However, in the Rick and Morty comic where they venture into Lovecraft's realm, I'll help you uncover all the mysteries. So buckle up and join me and Rick as we explore this eerie and captivating land. Chapter 1. A whistle echoes from the shadows of the night. Rick and Morty, dressed in slick suits and rocking badass black sunglasses, were in the middle of a deal with a group of mafia aliens, trading sugar. The aliens excitedly opened the goods, grabbed a handful, and started licking it. But just 2 seconds later, they spat it out, coughing and cursing Rick. "You damn bastard, you tricked us. This isn't sugar." They aimed their laser guns at him, but Rick wasn't about to go down that easily. He fought back, landing every shot perfectly. After taking care of the whole gang, Morty finally showed his face. Back in the car, Rick ran a test on the sample and was horrified to discover that Morty had accidentally swapped the sugar for artificial sweetener. They had been trying to trade with aliens who were hardcore sugar addicts. Furious, Rick snapped at Morty, yelling, "What the hell is wrong with you, kid? Sugar and sweetener aren't the same thing. Pulling this stunt is like giving chalk to a bunch of cokeheads." Despite the scolding, Morty still didn't understand what he'd done wrong, as he couldn't tell the difference between artificial sweetener and pure sugar. To him, anything sweet was just sugar. Rick quickly rushed back home, grabbed his equipment, and started checking to see if those sugar junkies had infiltrated the area. While he didn't find any sugar junkies, his probe detected an abnormal force enveloping the house. Rick immediately grabbed the book Jerry was reading, knowing full well his son never actually reads books. Turns out it was a mythology book by H.P. Lovecraft. Sensing something was off, Rick dashed to the kitchen and found Beth eating leftovers that contained mythos particles, a type of energy originating from the entities of Elric. He even pointed out that Cthulhu was the mastermind behind this mess. Jerry, of course, didn't believe it, arguing that he was just reading a book and hadn't consumed anything to be heavily affected. But Rick explained how these powerful entities have infiltrated the modern world, spreading their influence not just through food, but also through entertainment, movies, and videos. Their power would only grow stronger if this influence continued to spread everywhere. So Rick decided to strike first and destroy this absurd, creepy, and racist nonsense. For those unaware, H.P. Lovecraft, the creator of these mythologies, was notoriously racist, so it's no surprise Rick took the opportunity to roast him. The whole family geared up and joined the mysterious adventure. Jerry brought along a crossbow, while Beth carried a handgun. Morty had a laser gun, but it was confiscated because he had messed up a deal with the mafia. Just before stepping through the portal, Rick made sure to remind everyone to brace themselves, as this world was crafted by the pen of a madman. The first place the group visited was Massachusetts, an area known as Arkham. If the name sounds familiar to you, that's right. The Arkham Asylum from Batman was inspired by this place. Jerry was confused because he thought the family was going to fight Cthulhu. Rick simply said that to take down the boss, you've got to weaken it first. They knocked on the door of a nearby household and were greeted by a man named Nahum Gardner. Rick asked if he'd noticed anything strange popping up around here, like a cursed well or something. And sure enough, there was some kind of colorful substance rising from the well. The old farmer was terrified, but Rick was eerily calm. Rick explained that this entity came from outer space, and it would scorch livestock, melt brains, and drain life energy. It's called the color out of space. This idea was pulled straight from H.P. Lovecraft's series of stories, so Rick had already predicted this would happen. Suddenly, a swirl of colors converged and enveloped Jerry. Of course, Rick had already prepared for this, siphoning the energy from this dimension and converting it into harmless dust. Now it was completely useless and posed no threat whatsoever. The second destination is Miskatonic University, a place that's incredibly gloomy and ancient. Jerry asks what we'll have to deal with next: vampires, werewolves, or mummies. But no, it's worse. It's Wilbur Whately. Upon seeing Wilbur Whately, Rick immediately greets him and probes to see if he's looking for the Necronomicon, the book you might have seen in Evil Dead. Wilbur cheerfully admits it. Thinking he's found a kindred spirit, Rick pulls out his gun, ready to roast him. But Wilbur isn't dumb enough to just stand there and take it. His movements are lightning fast and precise, revealing a freakishly bizarre body. He might look scrawny and starved, but his offense and defense are top-notch. With just one slap, Rick is taken down. Beth and Jerry fumble around, struggling to load their guns. With his battle-hardened experience, Morty easily pulls Beth out of the way of a deadly blow. From behind, a bullet pierces straight into Wilbur's neck. Summer reloads, and this time lands a headshot, taking him out for good. So lucky that Rick got taken down, but there are still two grandkids who are total badasses and daredevils. To give a brief overview of Wilbur Whately, he's the offspring of an ancient god, Yog-Sothoth. He's on a mission to find the Necronomicon to open a gateway for his brother to invade. In the original story, Wilbur dies, but his brother's entity ends up attacking this reality. At first, Jerry was all brave and bold. But after 2 encounters, he was left curled up in a ball, suffering from PTSD like he'd just returned from the Vietnam War. Beth was also overwhelmed and, as usual, downed a bottle of booze to pull herself together. Jerry said he felt off, like something quiet and hollow was creeping into his body. Rick explained that all the stupidity in this universe is steeped in existential dread. The longer you're exposed, the dumber your mind gets. After cleaning up Wilbur's corpse, Rick told Beth to scatter it around the house to prevent Cthulhu from kidnapping them. He's not stupid that everything here was disrupted without detecting outside interference. The next destination is a hunt in Dunwich Village. This time, the target is Wilbur's brother. Rick describes this monster as invisible, much like how Morty's girlfriend dodges him. Morty protests, saying he used to date Planetina. If anyone's forgotten, Planetina is a superhero with green hair from the Rick and Morty series. Despite the cheerful atmosphere, Morty is still consumed by anxiety. He wonders if staying here too long might mess up his mind, just like it did to his parents. Rick quickly retorts that the kids won't be affected because the disgusting stuff written on the internet these days reeks worse than this Lovecraft series. Seems like the creator of Rick and Morty has some serious beef with H.P. Lovecraft. Anyway, while they were happily chatting, a growl from the void suddenly echoed, and as expected, it unleashed a wave of hockey that blasted everything around. Rick immediately fired a suppressing fluid, but oh boy, this creature was truly grotesque, towering, insane, and covered in tentacles trying to grab Rick, Morty, and Summer. Summer threw a grenade into its mouth, but she missed, forcing the group to scatter in panic. Due to its massive size and strength, Rick couldn't fight back and had to leg it. After 4 hours of being chased, the group ended up hiding on a tree trunk, carefully sneaking around to set up a pile of explosives around the monster while it was dozing off from exhaustion. And just like that, boom, another victory for the Sanchez family. Morty, however, thought that being chased around all night wasn't exactly something to brag about. The whole group was exhausted, so they decided to take a break and reload the gun. But the portal gun wasn't working. It seemed like this dimension was messing with Rick's gadgets. Summer wanted to go home, which brought the mood down, forcing Rick to rally the group. "We can't let Cthulhu think we're weak like this," he said. "We've got to stay ahead of those ancient gods and their second-rate minions." Still, the three of them had to muster up the energy to blend deeper into the town. In the main universe, Beth had scattered piles of colorful dust around the house. Meanwhile, Jerry was curled up, trembling in fear, still under the influence of the Lovecraft dimension. Turns out, the colorful dust had secretly infiltrated Jerry's body and was gearing up to manipulate Beth. Back with Rick, Morty, and Summer, they were strolling through the infamous horror-filled city of Innsmouth. Even though it was past midnight, the streets were still bustling with people. The trio decided to stop by a bar, where everyone stared at them like they were a bunch of freaks. Rick ordered 3 beers and asked about an old man named Marsh. However, the handsome waiter with luscious lips refused to answer, forcing Rick to toss him an extra coin to sweeten the deal. Out of nowhere, from a distant corner, a mysterious man with a voice that sounded like he had a rotten egg stuck in his mouth sneered at Rick's confidence. Rick stood up and asked who he was. Was he Marsh? But the answer made Rick instantly panic. "No, that's my father. I'm here to welcome you. Honestly, I'm here because of you, Rick Sanchez, the great man from the future." Realizing he had walked into a trap, Rick flipped the table and pulled out his gun. In front of them stood a small-sized ancient god. A catfish screamed loudly, stunning Rick, and his hand moved on its own, pointing the gun straight at his head. A gunshot rang out, and the upper half of Rick's body vaporized, leaving Summer and Morty in utter shock. Has everything turned upside down? Could this be Cthulhu's counterattack, or is everything still under Rick's control?